All right, well, welcome back to the iWealth podcast. Today we're here with Mr. Brad Connors, and we're talking specifically about high net worth individuals. When they come in and they start to audition you as a potential person to help them with all of their planning financially, what 2 or 3 or 4 things are they typically hammering you on? How do you approach this? How does this work? What happens in that meeting? That's a closed door meeting. Bring us into the closed door meeting.
First of all, Matt, let's talk about what high net worth individual is. I think we kind of need to quantify what that looks like, because just because somebody has a $10 million net worth doesn't make them better than somebody has a $500,000 net worth, but there's different needs that are there. So, let's just quantify what this looks like. So let's just use 10 million net worth, not invested, 10 million net worth, small business owner. And when they're coming into my office and asking me questions, I would say 9 out of 10 times they're disgruntled with the taxes they're paying. And they're disgruntled with the complexity of the taxes that they're paying. So when you think about someone that owns a business, might have a couple of different LLCs that they have land and buildings in, and then they got their business in another entity, an S Corp, and they got their personal income taxes. There's such a level of complexity with that. We don't do taxes, but we look at them all day long. We have some software that we use that helps get our clients to understand it better, because we understand it better and articulate what's going on. But I would say 9 times out of 10, the number one thing that really bothers them is taxes. And it's not necessarily income taxes, because you got income taxes, you've got estate taxes, you got local taxes, you got real estate taxes. You got all these different buckets of taxes that they're trying to mitigate as much as they can, because they understand that the less tax they pay, the more they have in their pocket. And they want to be smart with it.
So taxes is maybe the first big check mark. What are the other, or is that it?
No. There's much more. It depends on its severeness of complexity. But the other one that I see a lot in its closely held business is the kids.
Okay.
So think of a farm family, and think of 2 girls and a boy on the farm, and to stereotype the male being on the farm.
Okay.
So Johnny, the son, he's helping with the farm, and the 2 girls are married and are off the farm.
Okay.
How do we give the farm equally to those 3 kids? Because we love them equally. But Johnny's on the farm working, so is it equitably? How does he get to retain the farm, but equally they're all treated equally? And so trying to put together trusts or insurance policies that they get the same amount of money, working through the business is a hard conversation to have. And hard to figure out. And then how do we divide the family cabin? So all of a sudden, we live in Minnesota, so let's say you got a cabin on Gull Lake and it's worth $1 million, and you've got your farm, back to the farm family. When we're dead and gone, who's going to get the farm? Who's going to get the cabin? And if it's all 3 of them, how are they going to get along? Who gets 4th of July, and who gets Christmas, and right? So should that be in a separate entity or trust? Those are complexities that as you accumulate wealth, creep in. They're still human beings at the end of the day. They're no better than somebody that doesn't have any wealth. But there's different complexities you got to work through.
It's interesting, just thinking about those families when you get to that level of wealth. How do you have it feel good in those situations? In some level, it's kind of like you get to be an outside referee. And so with you being there and being an outside referee, it can feel a little bit better for the family, because they feel good. At least we had a referee there. Well, why does that matter? It matters because there's a level of fairness of having an outside referee. So that's how it kind of gets to be. That's what I'm taking away from it.
Yeah. What I see more than not is I see affluent families, business owners, just putting their head in the sand and doing nothing, Matt. And it's super sad because I've seen that affluent family, that patriarch. I've seen mom and dad die.
Yep.
And I've seen those kids not getting along after mom and dad died.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't done correctly.
Yep.
So my goal as their wealth advisor is to be able to sit down and identify the issues, but then have the hard conversation with mom and dad. Like, have you ever talked to your 3 kids about this?
Yep.
Well, we don't want to. Well, why not? And then peeling back that onion to get to the root cause. Well, my dad didn't talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. Like, what's the root cause? But then getting them to understand. I always use Thanksgiving. Like, how do we have those 3 kids go to Thanksgiving dinner together 2 years after you're both dead? How do they get together? And the answer is you need to communicate it. Yep. It's a family meeting.
Yep.
And I would say 70% of the time we run the family meeting. So we'll bring the 3 kids in with mom and dad, and I make dad and mom tell those 3 kids what their wishes are. Yep. We can do all the legal like we'll get the lawyer involved and the tax advisor, we'll get it, but we need to get out front of what the plan is. Like, structurally, what happens, dad, mom, to the farm?
Yeah.
What happens to the place in Gull Lake? And how are these guys going to get along? But this, if dad is the ASS,
yep,
in person to the 3 kids, they can blame him when he's dead. If dad and mom die and never articulate it to the kids, now they start to make up in their mind how this all unfolded. Yep. Why do we got to get into the farm? We should get the farm. Mom and dad would want that to happen. Yep. They start to make it up in their mind, right? They don't know for sure, but they start to come up with their own conclusions. Where if mom and dad articulate it, it's just a much better situation.
Much better situation.
Does that make sense? Like,
so can I ask you a hard question?
Yeah.
Talk about bottom up versus top down, right? The parents ideally are saying that to the kids, right? Saying, we have to have a family meeting. We want to put this on paper and we want to articulate what's in our will and particularly what's going to happen at Gull Lake, right? Ideally, that's happening. Talk me through the reverse situation that if somebody is a child and now has to go back to the parents and maybe you're involved with the child, but you're not involved with the parents, how do you help in that type of situation? Or what's the right set of words? Or how do you come into that?
Yeah.
What do you, because that's another way that it shows up on your radar.
It's a really good question, and you are right. So the reverse is the kids are my clients, maybe not mom and dad. And they don't know what the heck's going on.
Yes.
I've been farming this land for 30 years, Brad. I think I'm in the will. I don't know. I'm concerned that if I die, that I'm going to have to pay fair market value at $12,000 an acre versus mom and dad, pay $2,000 an acre. I think I should get a discount. I've been here helping mom and dad. Like, I don't know.
Yep.
It's a really difficult discussion. Not for me, but difficult for that child to go to mom and dad.
Yeah.
And my advice, my mentoring to that client is to try to get mom and dad into my office. Can we have a conversation where I can be the bad guy in a setting, trying not to be confrontational? Hey, I've been working with John and Sue, your kids, and your daughter-in-law for 20 years. He's been farming. We're doing some estate planning for them and some tax planning for them, mom and dad. Can we talk about what your intentions are when you're not here someday so that we can do the planning? So I like to be the person that brings it up to mom and dad because it doesn't have to be as emotional to me versus them talking about their 2 sisters that live off the farm. Let's let Brad have the conversation. And we've had those conversations. And here's the other thing. A lot of times people are scared to have the conversation because they're worried that there's going to be a big fight. That we're going to bring the 2 sisters and the brother in and mom and dad, and there's going to be a fight. Like it's a Christmas dinner fight again. what I've learned is it's very rare that happens because it's coming from me. Yep. And I'm keeping the peace, but asking the questions, and I'm the level head.
The referee.
The referee.
Don't get mad at the referee.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I should put that shirt on and wear a referee shirt. But if somebody else can have the conversation, if somebody else can be the Dr. Phil in the conversation, so to speak, like be the moderator, yep, and ask the questions and map out a plan, then I can go back to the attorney and get paperwork drawn up. I can go back to the accountant, bring everybody together. But the conversation has to be had. So your point is, your question's really good, because I see a lot of that too, where mom and dad we don't know. Mom and dad don't talk, don't want to talk about it. We'll find out someday when they're dead. And if mom and dad can get in my office and I can explain to them that your kids aren't going to have Thanksgiving dinner together unless you tell them what's going on, like, what do you want to have happen?
Yeah.
And then I can help you make that happen.
Yeah. That's super interesting. I think for me, the one takeaway from that is by getting them out of their farm site or where they're used to being, you kind of get rid of some of those distractions. So kind of getting them off site as a parent has a lot of value. Mm-hmm. And there's something to that okay, we're going to go to the referee's office.
Yeah.
Right. And that gets rid of a lot of those triggers and maybe puts them in a little different. Yeah. I think there's a lot of truth to it, and there's a lot of beauty in that, and I do think it's actually a very good way of doing it. So.
It's interesting, Matt. This whole conversation, we haven't talked once about, how much are in your bank accounts and how much are in your investment accounts.
Yeah,
and
what's
those
your
type
intention?
Of things. Yeah, this is all about behavioral finance, like, yep, emotionally, what's, yep, it look like? It's just a whole different. I don't need mom and dad to spill their guts on every penny they have.
Yeah.
I need mom and dad to be truthful and upfront about what their intentions, yep, are when they're not here anymore.
It's not a ones and
zeros.
And
by the way, it's not always
thing.
Equally. Like I've had a client in this farming situation, yeah, that bought a life insurance policy for his 2 daughters. And the son's getting the farm. Again, the stereotype, but truthfully, the son's getting the farm. And he sat down with the son and the 2 daughters, and he said, I bought you a life insurance policy. And when I die, you're going to get $500,000 each. The son's going to get the farm, and you guys are going to get this life insurance policy, and this is why. And he explained why. And the daughters nodded their heads, and they understand.
But they only get $500,000.
Yeah, that's right. And when they get that money and they get the check, guess what? Dad said this is the way it was going to happen.
Yep.
Not my brother. Let's have
intention.
Thanksgiving dinner together.
Yep.
Because he communicated.
Yeah.
It wasn't equally at all. It wasn't even close to equal. But it was right in his and mom's eyes. And then he articulated it. Yep. That's the breakthrough. Communicate, communicate, communicate. It's kind of like Trudy's mad at me and we stay mad for 3 days straight, like nothing happens. Somebody's got to break down and communicate eventually in an argument situation. So you need to communicate with your spouse. You need to communicate with your kids. It doesn't have to be your financial data. Yep. Just what are your intentions when you die?
Totally interesting.
Yeah.
I like it. All
right.
Anything else?
Nope. Thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate it.
See you back here next time.
All right.